Welcome to the Q1 Buck Poll. I'm Tim Hart with Mike Big Buck Hoffner. On our show today, we're going to be talking to the DNR, talking about getting kids into the woods with Kevin Fraley. And you know, Mike, it is so important to get the kids outside because a lot of them, they get so entrenched with their cell phones and their computers. But really what they need to do is just kind of walk in the woods sometimes.
You know, I think it's really healthy, and it's about family, and it's about teaching, and teaching you how to do the safe way of hunting. And so I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned out of that segment.
Also on the show this week, we've got Jerry Lambert. He's a writer for Woods and Water News. He also does a lot of writing and blogging for us on the Q1 Buck Poll website. Jerry's going to be talking about his book, Trophy Whitetails.
And speaking about trophy whitetails, Tim, we've got some big ones that were brought in this week. Can't wait to share those.
Yes, we do. And towards the end of the show, we're going to be talking to Brett and Don Walcott about their hunt. Also, Troy Setzer about his hunt. People are bringing their deer by. And so it's a lot of fun talking to people and finding out how they bag the buck.
And talking about bagging your bucks, Tim, I talked to Don Reed, and he does some of the voices for us on our show, as well as he writes for the Coldwater Reporter. He bagged his buck, but with his car.
Well, that will not work on our contest, but you can see all the deer at q1buckpoll.com, so go check them out. We'll also talk about giving away a Saskatchewan deer hunt later on in the show. I'm Tim Hart. He's Mike Big Buck Hoffner. Stay with us. We got more coming up. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll.
Q1 Buck Poll, Michigan's biggest and best buck poll contest. Brought to you by these sponsors who support Michigan's great outdoors.
Well, it's time to take a look at some big bucks, and we've got them all entered, and their pictures are online, so make sure you go enter your buck or your doe, and you'll see it right here on q1buckpoll.com.
And with that, Tim, we have some dandies that were brought in this week. So let's start right out with Justin Cup McClish bringing in a 12-pointer. His score, Tim, 57.5, and he comes from Menden.
And that is a big one in our contest.
And then we start with Clinton Goings, and he brought a 14-point buck in, and his score was 55 3/4, and he comes from Dowling, Michigan.
You know, Mike, one of the interesting things there, 22.25-inch inside spread.
Well, I'll tell you, that's what makes him unique. You got some with long tines, you got mash, you got inside spread, we got it all. And we also had Matthew McKevley, and he shot a 10-pointer. His score was 54.5, and he came from Hillsdale.
Now it's time to talk about getting kids out in the woods with the DNR. We're going to be talking to Kevin Fraley. Well, we're all familiar with the hunter ed classes that are out there, but did you know that the DNR has all kinds of things to get kids in the outdoors? We got Kevin Fraley with us, and he is the DNR Education Services Manager. And you know, so many kids in this day and age, they get tied to that computer or the TV or staying inside, and the DNR is kind of focusing and offering programs to get kids outside. What are you guys doing?
We're especially doing that. You know, one of the more revealing statistics lately, Tim, that's really frightening is that this generation of kids may be the first generation that does not outlive their parents. And a lot of that is health related. So we're all over getting kids outside. Of course, we want them to hunt and fish, but we also realize there has to be some entry-level opportunities besides those to get kids outside. So we're all over just nature hikes and beginning archery, beginning fishing, beginning shooting sports, as kayaking, as many of our parks as we can do that in.
Well, I know that we get busy with our sporting activities. You know, we do soccer and basketball and all those type of things. But, you know, I've been trying to get my kids to just, hey, let's just go walk in the woods once. Right. And see what you can, you know, the different animals that are out there, all the different sounds. But you also are bringing, you know, the outdoors, indoors too, into the classrooms, aren't you?
We are doing that. We've got a lot of programs in the classrooms. You're probably familiar with archery in the schools, and a lot of folks are. Right. We also have a very popular program called Salmon in the Classroom. And this has really taken off. We have over 170 schools in Michigan that are raising Chinook salmon in the classroom. Really? And the coolest part about this program is it's all year long, so it's not a week or 2-week education deal. They get salmon eggs from the department early in the fall. They raise the fish all the way to May, and they actually release them as smolts into rivers. before they go home for the summer. And to watch kids actually raise fish and become that attached to a resource really makes a difference.
Are they doing it like in just tanks, or
Yeah,
what are they doing it?
They do a minimum 55-gallon tank.
Okay.
And we issue so many eggs that'll fit that tank, and so many survive, and they learn so many life lessons too, ecology-wise, about how much they have to take care of that little ecosystem or the fish die and all that kind of thing.
Well, we've got in Quincy, where my kids go to school, we've got kind of a marshy area, kind of like our wildlife area that is, you can't touch it, don't put anything over there, because they do a lot of classroom work outside.
Right. And that's a huge part too. We're working a lot with teachers. We run a program all summer long up at the, or not all summer long, but a week long in the summer up at our conference center, where we bring teachers in and really immerse them in outdoor ed, because we want them to do just that. We want them to learn those inquiry techniques, which is real popular in education anyway, and get kids outside of the school, even if it's right around the schoolyard, and do some different things about ecology and wildlife and fisheries.
All right, so if I'm a viewer out there, how can I get involved in a program like this, or get my kid involved in a program like this?
Well, certainly the best way is just to go to our website. Everyone knows it probably by now, but michigan.gov/DNR, and then you'll see an Education and Outreach tab on the left. Go to that, and it has all of our programs listed, and then you can either email us or give us a call. Our phone numbers are up there, and you can learn how to get involved.
Well, and I think that's something that more people should do, and that is, make connection with the DNR about the different programs that are out there, because again, we get so involved in our own little world, and again, we know about the hunter ed classes, but really there's just so much more, and there's so much more for kids to learn, and that next generation to be our outdoors people.
Absolutely. We want more and more Michiganders to get outside, enjoy the outdoors, but we also want them to learn that stewardship message and how to take care of it, like most of your viewers do.
Now, your particular office at the DNR, I mean, this is what you guys are specializing in year-round, not just at hunting time, but during the summertime. There's a lot of things like that, isn't there?
Yeah, we have a whole section on education. I'd say the department's doing more now than they've done in probably the last 20, 30 years. We have great partners. We could not do this with partners. Safari Club International, for example, Novi chapter, they sponsor teachers to come to that summer academy. Steelheaders, Trout Unlimited, they help with the salmon in the classroom. So without our partners, simply this stuff wouldn't work, and a lot of congratulations to them.
So if you've got an organization out there and you want to get involved, and I say, hey, I'd like to, help with the DNR and get the kids outdoors, do we just donate money? Do we call you? Do we get involved with our time and efforts? What do we do?
Any one of those. And again, they can reach me.
You got a lot of options. You hear what you said?
They can reach me. Funny you said that. We had the Arbor Day Alliance called me last year in the middle of nowhere and just said, hey, we heard about this academy. We want to sponsor some teachers. How do we do it? So there's a lot of ways to get involved, and don't feel shy to pick up the phone or email us, and we'll be sure we get you.
And I tell you right now, get the kids outdoors. You'll see a little bit of a spark in their eye, because it's a whole new world when they get away from the computer. And not that the computer's bad, but you do need to enjoy what we have here in the state of Michigan. Kevin, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. Kevin Fraley here with us, and I am Tim Hart. That's your DNR segment this week. We got more coming up. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. Time now for our sponsor spotlight here on the Q1 Buck Poll. We've got John and Shannon from Northern Lights Family Outfitters, and we are here to talk about everything you need when it comes to the name Carhartt. Is that right?
That is, and also muck boots and Red Wing boots.
All right, well, let's talk about the selection here, and then we're also going to talk about your annual event that you have in May that everybody's invited to. But tell me about the Carhartt, and I mean, really great selection, great pricing.
Exactly. That's exactly what we built our business on.
Yep, we started the business here at home just so we could be more convenient with times and everything for people to come out and keep it affordable.
Now, one of the things I do like about you guys, too, is that you will ship anywhere, won't you?
Oh, definitely. Yep. So wherever you live, I mean, we can drop ship anywhere, and we order every day of the working week. So if you're looking for a specific size, a lot of times you go in and you're just limited to whatever it is that a retail store orders. We're not like that. We order every day, so as long as it's available with our suppliers, then it's available to you. Well,
tell me a little bit about Redneck Days, and let's invite people next May to come on out.
Yep, it's just a kind of our kickoff to summer. It's the weekend before Memorial Day weekend every year. So far, we've had great turnouts every year. This year, we did a 5K run, and it looks like everybody wants that to come back again. So,
and everything is definitely redneck.
And as always, during Redneck Days, at any time of the year, great deals on Carhartt clothing and muck boots.
That is correct, and actually Muck Boots and Carhartt have been sponsors for the past couple years, and they come out and they actually are here right from the headquarters, so you can get some free stuff from them. They give away a ton of giveaways, even free boots were given away, and Muck Boot was our big
Redneck winner.
All right, so Redneck winners, we're all winners when you come up to Redneck Days out in Levering. Go on out and see them and get some great deals on Carhartt and Muck Boots. That's our sponsor spotlight. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. One of the contributors on our show for many years has been Jerry Lambert. He's an outdoor writer for Woods and Water News, among other publications throughout the country. And Jerry wrote a book called Trophy Whitetails and kind of tells his experiences, some of the encounters he's had with a lot of people across the state, and really a great book. And so he's going to be talking about that. But we got Big Bucks, though, to show you, because Big Buck Hoffner's here, and you know what his job is? Big bucks.
And this is what we're going to do, Tim. Let's start out with Kenneth Brooks. And Kenneth brought in a 15-point buck. His score was 53.5 points, and he comes from Union City. Then we had Levi Blaker with a 9-pointer. His score was 53, and he comes from Reading. And finally, we have Jim Person with a 9-pointer. His score was 52, and he comes from Allen, Michigan.
You know, one of the interesting things there, Mike, is that a lot of big scores from the southern part of the state again.
Well, you know, I don't think it's any mystery, Tim. We predicted that at the beginning. It's the crop belt, the agricultural food bank down here, and that's where they're going to thrive.
Now let's talk to Jerry Lambert. He's going to tell us about his book, Trophy Whitetails.
The book's called Trophy Whitetails. It's 35 chapters. The first 16 are fiction. The rest are real-life adventure. Deer hunting and storytelling go hand in hand. There's a lot of how-to books on the market. This one's can be how-to through example. They're all deer hunting stories. Every method and weapon, I believe, I got used in this book. We have the archery, gun, rifle, muzzle loading. We have women, children. I tried to cover the whole gamut. Trophy Whitetails is a book where I tried to capture the spirit of hunting. And a lot of the reviews that came in, people said that it feels like they were right there in the blind with the particular character in the story. So I'm very proud of that. This is my first book. I've been writing for a number of years. Michigan audiences know me best for a lot of my work in Woods and Water News. I've had the privilege of covering many of the state's big bucks the last few years. It definitely has Michigan flavoring. Q1 Buck Poll is mentioned in an article about Kyle Bonner, who shot the biggest buck last year, the Lapeer County legend. That article I had the privilege of writing for North American Whitetail, and many of these chapters or stories were featured in North American Whitetail. For years, I read North American Whitetail, and one of my favorite sections was the Tales and Trails column. That always just had stories, both fiction and real life, that just captured why we hunt, why there are so many passionate people in our state, in this country, that pursue whitetails. It just gets in our blood, and those stories always seem to capture that spirit. And right from the get-go, I wanted stories that captured that spirit. Well, I was successful. I got a lot to appear on in that column, Tales and Trails. And once I started to get a compilation, the idea of a book came together. And after many years of work, hard work, it's come to place.
We appreciate everything Jerry does for the show, and you can check out some of his blogs at q1buckpoll.com. And you know, Mike, a lot of people have stories from the time they were little kids all the way through, and it's great when somebody shares their experiences with us.
Yeah, you know, that's what I think is so cool about it, is these people write these books, and it's about trophy whitetails. It's the mystical, magical thing. Everybody wants to get one. Everybody wants to know about them.
Stay with us when we come back. We've got some deer stories from the people that were out in the woods, and we've got more big bucks. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. Back here on the Q1 Buck Poll, well, we've got more bucks. In fact, we've got some people with us that are going to tell us their story. And why don't we start off with a story, and then we'll go in and show you some bucks from around the state. You know, Mike, what is really cool, our first story is a son and dad. Dad was in the contest last year, Don Walcott,
yep.
And now his son shot a big one, but he waited and waited and waited until the buck came in, and he passed on a nice buck And I tell you what, sometimes it's very hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's deer management at its finest, but it's a mental thing you got to go through. But I really, really think highly of those people that can handle that situation and let those little ones go so they grow bigger.
Here's a great father and son story from Brett and Don Walcott.
Hi, my name is Brett Walcott, and I live in Blanchard, and I shot this buck back on my home farm. When opening morning came, it was kind of exciting to get out to the blind, and from the first light we had deer all over, and probably about 8 o'clock I got a 7-point, probably 150 yards away, and
it was a good mature, at least 2.5-year-old buck that we thought he might shoot, because we had said anything 2.5 we're going to shoot, you know, because the chances of this deer showing up we thought was actually pretty slim.
And it got me pretty excited. I have to admit, it was kind of, he was running across the field, and it was my first buck, so it was kind of exciting. I had the safety off and sights on him, and he said, well, he's a decent buck, but he's not huge. And I just decided that I knew there was better bucks like this one out there, and decided to pass him, and it's proved as a good point now. And about 20 minutes later, we seen him in the cornfield, and my dad just bounced me and says, there's a definite shooter out there.
And he couldn't find him for a little while because it was hard to see him just moving in the corn, and you could tell when he found him because all he said was, holy crap.
As soon as I shot, he dropped, and I thought, oh man, I got him right on the ground. And he got back up and started running through the woods, and he was screaming, shoot him again, shoot him again.
With all the confidence in the world, he's telling me, Dad, he's done. He's done. I'm going, you shoot early and you shoot often.
I let him go through that opening, and he just about choked me. And he got kind of behind a bunch of trees and bushes, and we didn't see what happened, and it was kind of a little intense there. Was he down? Did he take off? What was the deal? And we got down and found good blood, and then it kind of thinned out. We didn't really find any blood, but we knew where he was at, and we just walked right up on him, and he was a holy crapper for sure.
What a great story. And again, dads, if you get a chance, take your kids out if they've never been out in the woods. We talked about it early on the show with Kevin Fraley. You know, get kids outside. Get them out away from the computer sometimes.
You know, it's exciting. I actually just started bringing my kids out as they've gotten out of college for the first time hunting, and I'll tell you what, they're starting to appreciate the outdoors and how hard it is to bag a big one.
Well, I truly like being out there and watching the squirrels and the birds and hearing the sounds, and you know, sometimes it's just the peacefulness you need at the end of a hard week or end of a hard day.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest things that I enjoy about hunting most, is getting away out of the office, getting away from all the hustle and bustle of the workday, sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying nature.
But that doesn't mean you don't take your cell phone so you can't text Big Buck Hoffner and say, here comes a deer.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I was in the woods the other day and you can't get away from work. My phone kept ringing and I knew there was a problem at work, so I ended up having a call. I had to leave the woods early to take those phone calls.
Well, let's check out some more big bucks right here on the Q1 Buck Poll.
All right, Tim, let's start out with Jeremiah Randall bringing in a 16-pointer. His score was 50 3/4, and he comes from Sturgis. Then we had Mike Strausser with a 12-pointer. His score was 50.62, comes from Bangor. Then we had David Lee with a 10-pointer. His score was 48, coming from Lapeer. And finally, Eric Walters with a 10-pointer. His score 47 3/4, coming from Marshall.
We are going to be out and about with our cameras starting on November 15th, and we'll be going to some of the buck polls across the state. So maybe go online, go to q1buckpoll.com, and you can see where I'll be, so you can bring your deer and talk to me. Just like Troy Setzer did, he brought it right here to the Q1 studios and said, hey, I got a nice 8-pointer and a good story.
Well, this morning decided we was going to go out hunting this morning, me and a buddy. And November 1st decided to take a day off work, actually. And got out there in my stand, got in there nice and quiet, in the middle of a swamp, and wasn't seeing much at all. And next thing I know, I decided, well, I think I'm going to try this doe bleat. So I decided to try that doe bleat, and all of a sudden I dumped that can 3 times, and as soon as I dumped that can that 3rd time, he come running right into me. And decided he was going to stop and scrub on a tree, and he scrubbed on that tree, and then all of a sudden he started coming right back towards me again, and about 20 yards away, and shot him, and he ran about 50 yards or so, and down for the count. There he is, nice buck. All right, check this out. Look at this one. Beautiful buck.
Well, Mike, we always appreciate when people bring their bucks in so that we can hear their story. If you get a big one, make sure you give us a call or send me an email so that we can get you on the show and hear your story. We're going to have a lot of stories from November 15th and 16th coming up, and also through the weekend. So it's just a great time to talk to the hunters around the state.
Yeah, we make it pretty easy for you. And Troy, you know, he shot his deer. It's kind of interesting. 5 minutes after he shot it, I got a text from him. Then he shot that buck. Troy works for us, and also he is one of the creators of our new logo behind us. He's a great guy, and he loves hunting, and he loves to tell a good story.
You can win a Saskatchewan deer hunt. All you have to do is go to q1buckpull.com. You go online, the icon's there, lastminutehuntingandfishing.com. Click on it, fill out the information. Even if you don't have a buck or doe in the contest, you can win this whitetail hunt from Dunham's North American Outfitters up in Saskatchewan. Also, don't forget about donating your deer to a local food pantry. And Mike, it's very simple. Call some of the processors in your area and see who works with the food pantry in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I just did that recently with one of the does that I shot. I took part of it I had made into jerky, but more than half the deer I gave away to our local pantry.
Also, don't forget about sending us your trail cam pictures. You can send them to buckpullpics@gmail.com. We're working with Buck Fever USA, and whoever's got the greatest trail cam picture, as voted on by our viewers and our people online, will win a great prize package from Buck Fever USA.
And prizes, prizes, prizes. Tim, I'm telling you, all the way up to the grand finale, when we give away the great ATV, it's going to be a great year.
For Mike Big Buck Hoffner, I'm Tim Hart. And remember, whenever you're out in the woods, be safe. Thanks for watching this week's edition of the Q1 Buck Pull.
For the latest on Michigan hunting, pick up the current edition of Woods and Water News, Michigan's premier outdoor publication. Available on newsstands or by subscription. Woods and Water News, proud sponsor of the Q1 Buck Pull.
We got about 1 week to get one. The heat is on.
How about that?